Good evening and welcome to First Contact Addiction Ministries Patchwork. We're glad that you're with us tonight. This broadcast is designed to help anyone who may be out there and is struggling with some sort of substance, whether it be drugs or alcohol. We're here, and the purpose of this broadcast is to encourage you, hopefully, say something that will not only encourage you, but encourage you to get help because there is help out there. And also to encourage family members of those who are struggling with addiction. We have a word of encouragement for you as well. So I'm excited to introduce to you Matt Boren, who is one of First Contact's RAs and who has been a real blessing to this ministry. And he's been with us for a little while, and he's here tonight to share his testimony, and I'm sure you're going to find it quite amazing at what God has done in Matt's life. But before we do that, let me just say we have a staff member, Diane Hendrickson, who is monitoring this broadcast, and she will be responding to anyone that's out there. All you have to do is go to the comment box on your computer and type in a question or a comment. If you need help, let us know. Just leave us a way to contact you back, and we'll be happy to do whatever we can to help you. Our phone number is 828-435-2180, and our website is First Contact, spelled out, WNC.org. That's First Contact, WNC.org. Go to our website and look at we have a number of testimonies on that website, and we will be happy again to help you in any way that we can. Please leave us a question or a comment in the comment box, and like and share this. There are many out there that need to hear Matt's story. So with that said, Matt, let's get into it. You are unique in that you began your addiction at a very early age. What age was that?
8 years old.
8 years old. So you were a child when you began your addiction. Obviously, your home situation was not the best. I would guess.
No, it wasn't the best at all. I mean, my stepfather was an alcoholic. He, at the age 5, he burnt half side of my face off on a wood stove, and that just started the abuse. And a lot of people don't know about it, but I do. And I never felt loved as a child anyway, but it just, I had to overcome it.
How did you get introduced to
Family members?
Okay. Sometimes all it takes is a family member getting another family member involved in it, and then you're off to the races.
Pretty much.
So, at what point in your life did it escalate, Matt? What point in your life did you increase to a stronger, more potent drug?
It was around the age 15. I started using, I started off using marijuana when I was 8, and then I escalated to using methamphetamines, Xanax, acid by the age of 15.
Wow. So you went through your childhood, your teenage, your all of your teenage years was consumed by drugs.
Yes, sir.
Uh, and so, at what point, Matt, did you begin experiencing consequences of your drug use?
When I was about 17, I caught my first felony. At I actually wrecked my mother's car, and they gave me a felony hit and run. And then at the age of 18, I got caught with crack and spent my first few nights, well, about 2 weeks in jail, and they put me on probation. And then it became a revolving door after that.
Okay. And at some point along that stretch, you had some children, right?
Yeah, I have 3 children. One's 20, one's 13, and the other one's 5.
Okay. And that would lead us naturally into some more severe consequences of your addiction, right? What were some of those?
Well, I've been married twice. My first wife left me and took my son when he was 4, and I didn't talk to him for 15 years. Then my 13-year-old DSS took her away from me and her mother, and she is now adopted. And my 5-year-old, I never really got to know her until recently.
Okay. So you were steeped in drug use while all of that was going on.
Oh yeah. I mean, when my kids started getting took away from me and stuff like that just pushed me deeper in. And that's when I started just really trying to kill myself with it.
Okay. Explain that. What do you mean? You're talking about, obviously losing your children. You were also homeless, right?
Yeah, the past 6 years, I was homeless. I mean, I was digging out of dumpsters for food, because every penny that I had went to drugs. I mean, I didn't care about myself. I didn't love myself at all. I mean, that was the main objective ever since I was a kid. I never did love myself because I didn't think nobody else loved me either.
Okay. Do you, so you were homeless for 6 years, you say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, what was it, Matt, that turned you around?
Just got tired of the lifestyle. I mean, I got tired of losing everything that ever meant anything to me.
How long was your addiction?
31 years.
31 years. You got the record, brother. I don't know of anybody that we're dealing with currently. Now, we've had some 50 and 60-year-olds that we've encountered, but of those that have truly turned their lives around, you are by far the longest. So you are a walking miracle to be here, sitting here tonight. So what was it you were into? What was it that actually caused you to wake up, to turn around?
My breaking point was, out of all my addiction, I've took razor blades, cut myself, been hospitalized for trying to kill myself at least 7 or 8 times. And I was to the point of wanting to do it again. I had the gun to do it with. I mean, I was ready to do it. And then for some reason, there was a deer or something started blowing at me to get my attention off of what I was planning on doing. And that's when I realized it was time for a change. And that's when I asked the Lord if He wanted me to get off of it, He's going to have to help me with it.
And what happened next?
3 days later, I got locked up again.
We have a humorous saying in First Contact that the jail is God's detox. Very often when we begin praying for somebody, they get locked up. So God was answering your prayer by getting you locked up. So what happened? So, you'd been locked up before and it didn't make any difference. What was it this time that changed?
Well, when I walked in this time, when I walked into the pod, I told the guys, I'm home, boys, because jail was more my home. I was safe there. And I could be myself and not have to worry about doing this, running here, all that other mess that went along with addiction. But then I went to sleep, slept for 4 days straight. I woke up and told myself this is not my home. And then the next 3 or 4 days, one of the sheriffs come in and served me with adoption papers over my daughter. And that was pretty much my turning point.
You want to elaborate on that any?
They served me with my papers. That's when I realized that I knew I couldn't do it. That's when I started hitting my knees and praying a lot, because I couldn't afford to lose my daughter. She was all I had. But even though I was locked up, it still wasn't enough. That still wasn't enough. I got in trouble and got sent to the hole, and one of my drug dealers come in the cell next to me, gave me some drugs. I got high that night, and that was the worst feeling I ever had in my entire life. The next day I had court to be sentenced to get sent to prison yet again. And they was dead set on me going to prison. My lawyer wasn't going to do nothing for me. Nobody else was either. And she was supposed to went and talk to the DA, and that's when I hit my knees. And I realized that I needed God in my life. And she come back in and told me I was going to prison, and for the first time out of all the cases that I have, I asked if I could talk to the judge. And she said, yeah, you can talk to the judge. And that's when I realized, when I walked in front of this judge, the Lord told me what to say. That's the first time I've heard Him, and I don't know when. And it was just like He was right there in my ear.
Wow.
And I asked the judge, because I was already trying to get into rehab on my own, per se. I mean, I still had things I had to do to be able to get in there, but I asked all the people I got in trouble with, got out on probation, and I was trying to get the same but I was more focused on getting help because I knew I needed help. And I asked the judge if I could finish going to rehab because I realized my kids need me sober. And there's no turning back for me.
And the judge allowed you to go.
Yeah, he let me
Miracle.
go. Yeah, because
Your attorney doesn't give up on it.
Well, I mean, my attorney didn't really want to help me to begin with, which, I mean, that was fine. The Lord knew what I needed. And it's just like I told the judge, going to prison was not the answer for me this time. Because all I do is get more contacts, get high while I was in there, and everything else, because that's what I did. Any other time I've been locked up or got sent off, I'll come out with a cheaper deal and all that stuff. I mean, that's all prison's about. Most people that go to prison, it's just a revolving circle for them anyway. That's the lifestyle. And a lot of people choose that lifestyle. And I chose that lifestyle for 31 years. Well, for 20, since I was 17.
So he allowed you to go to rehab, and how long did you stay in rehab?
I was supposed to stay for 65 days, but I come in the 53rd day. I had to come up for court for my adoption of my daughter. I took care of that and had to stay up here for like a day and a half. And I got to visit with my daughter and got a personal conversation with her. But while I was here, I was walking around town. I went to the rescue mission and I looked at all the people and seen all the sadness and hurt in their eyes, and I knew it wasn't time to come home. So I stayed an extra 30 days. I stayed an extra 30 days, but the Lord told me it was time to come home about day 75. And everybody begged me to stay. No, I can't. The Lord's telling me it's time for me to go home. So I come home. But when I come home, I went right back to where I was at. I went straight to the rescue mission. I stayed out on the street for like 3 days, and I knew that wasn't what the Lord wanted me to do. So I told the Lord, Lord, I know this ain't what you want me to do. I'll check myself into the mission tomorrow. And that's what I did. And I stayed there for about 4 months.
And what did you do while you were at the mission?
I looked for work for about 2 weeks, and then I got a job and started saving my money, trying to get out of there as fast as possible, because the mission is not a very safe place to be when you know 90% of the people you sold drugs to, 90% of the people that's around there. I mean, the mission is not a good place.
So it's kind of pause there for just a moment. That's something we didn't cover. You were actually a drug dealer, right?
Yeah, I sold drugs since I was 16 years old.
And why did you do that?
To pay for my habit.
To pay for your habit. So that's almost a natural progression. We had Brooks Lancaster in last week, and Brooks said, there's a point at which you can no longer sustain your habit. So you have to do something. And the guys go to dealing drugs.
Yep, pretty much. The more I sold, the more I done.
So you were at the mission, you had gotten a job, you began saving your money. Were you going to meetings?
Yeah, that's when I started coming to first contact meetings. on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, on top of going to church every Sunday and Wednesday.
So 4 days out of the week, you were doing something to grow your relationship to the Lord, first of all, because that's what we do at First Contact. You know, we tell people that the Lord is the answer. You know, the Lord is what will free you from your bondage. So you were growing your relationship to the Lord. You were getting help and accountability by going to meetings and going to church and so on. So how did you get out of the mission?
I come and talk to you.
Yeah.
And then we got, you placed me into the transitional house. And since then, I've not slowed down. I mean, my life it's changed dramatically within the past 22 months. But within the past year and a half, it's really, really changed.
You've gone from needing help to giving help, haven't you?
Yep. As often as much as I possibly can.
So you're going through the natural progression on the other side now. You're not only receiving help, you're giving help. You're pointing others to the source of freedom, right?
Correct.
And I'm really pleased to be able to say that Matt is scheduled to become our transitional house manager the 1st of September. And he's proven that he's absolutely committed to a life serving the Lord and a life of freedom and a life of responsibility, which leads me to the question, what has God restored in your life, Matt?
A life that I never thought I'd have. I mean, I'll be honest with you. In the past 18 months, let's see, when I come out of rehab, I was put on probation for 2 years. For the first time in ever, I finished probation. Never failed a drug screen. Paid all my money. Got off a year and 3 days early. Got my driver's license. Got a vehicle. Got my babies in my life. All 3 of them. Let's see. And still looking forward to the next day. I mean, this life I don't know nothing about, but I'm really excited to see where my life's going to go now.
Amen. God has been merciful and gracious to you, Matt, to be able to have all of that restored to you is an absolute miracle. And the fact that you spent 30 years of your life, but basically your whole life, in drugs.
That's all my life was.
In the drug world. And God saw fit to reach down and snatch you out of that. That's an incredible miracle. And what an inspiration that it doesn't matter what your situation is, there's always hope. Is that a fair statement?
Yep. I mean, that's one thing we always said it while I was in rehab. And I even got a shirt that says it. I mean, don't put your hope in dope. Put your hope in the Lord. Because when you put your hope in Him, there's no turning back.
You've also created another shirt.
Yeah.
What does
Used
it
to
say?
be dope dealer, now hope dealer.
Used to be a dope dealer. Now I'm a hope dealer. How about that? We're going to mass produce those shirts.
Nuh-uh. You can't be stealing my ideas, bud.
We'll pay you a royalty.
All right,
How's
that'll
that? All right. So, Matt, how are you using your experience to help others?
As you said, I'm fixed to be the manager over the transitional house. I minister to the guys at the house. And also on Sundays after church, there's I volunteer at feeding the homeless and try to give them because the homeless people knew where I come from. So I try to give them a hope by seeing everything that the Lord's restored in my life that gives them a hope and where to look to come to look for help.
Wow.
And usually every Sunday I'm there, and I always have somebody coming up wanting to talk to me and ask me how I got sober. And all I can tell them is give it to the Lord. But you have to completely sell out to Him. You can't just give Him a little bit and expect to stay sober for long. I done tried it. I gave Him a little bit and it didn't last very long. So I tried it again, give Him a little more. It didn't last very long. This time I completely sold out and there's no turning back at all. There's no wants, no desires to ever want to go back to that life.
Amen. You went from dope dealer to hope dealer, and it's because you surrendered your whole life. You just said, God, you take my life. I tell our guys all the time, God's not interested in healing you of your drug addiction. God's interested in healing you totally, period. All of you. God wants all of us. And until you're ready to give God all of you, like you said, you don't know what the future holds. You've placed that in God's hands. And He is writing the script for the rest of your life. And you're doing things His way instead of your way now. And it's working.
Yeah.
Right? It's working. How long have you been clean, Matt?
Going on 23 months. October 8th will be 2 years.
Wow. That's such an inspiration. Well, before we close, Matt, let me just ask you, I know there's someone out there that is struggling and maybe they just happened upon this broadcast and they are in desperation, maybe to the extent that you were, that they're contemplating the worst of the worst. What would you say to help them? What would you say to encourage them tonight?
First thing I do is start talking to God and asking for help and guidance. The next thing I do is go find someone that can help you. Either come to First Contact, go find your closest church, and give your life to God. And then, once you surrender to God, all that life will go away. It ain't an easy walk, but it's a walk that's well worth it. As I've said many times, I can't go back to that life. I don't want to go back to that life. I love the Lord because He loves me. As the Bible tells us, He died on the cross for you and for me. He took a beating that I should have took, and that all of us should have took.
That's right.
I mean, the Bible teaches that sinners, sinners are at death, should deserve death. But yet he died on the cross so we can get saved.
He paid that debt.
And that I would just come to church, come to meetings, find people that care and love you. And I can promise you, it'll all fall into place.
Jesus said, I am the way, and I'm the truth, and I'm the life. And no man comes to God the Father but through me. The Bible also says, John 8:36, if the Son of God sets you free, you will be free indeed. And that's what he's done for you, man. That's what he's set you free. And I rejoice in that. But there's also maybe some family members that are out there, Matt, and they're absolutely desperate. They're exhausted. They're frustrated. They're horrified at the prospects of addiction to their loved ones. What would you say, or what could you say to a loved one, a family member, a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister? What could you say to them that will encourage them tonight?
Don't give up hope, because if you're praying for them, keep praying for them, but don't enable them. That was one thing my mother did. Probably kept me in addiction a lot longer. But I wish my mother could see me sober today. But don't give up hope, because Jesus is our hope, and he'll turn it around. You might not get to see it, but it'll happen. I can promise you that.
And if ever there was an example of that, it would be you. Sometimes the prayers of loved ones is the very thing that's necessary to bring one to that point. We have meetings every Tuesday night and every Thursday night at First Contact. Diane is going to place the times and the places. We meet in 3 different venues. Diane will be, as I say, putting the places up where we meet, the churches, and the times during those days. And I would say to family members, we have meetings for you. And those meetings are designed to give you hope, to give you comfort, to help you to understand what you're going through and what your loved one is going through, and to support you. So please reach out to us. You can go to the Facebook page, just type something in, let us know how to reach you, and we will get back to you, and we will do everything we can do to help you, whatever the situation is. Our phone number is 828-435-2180. Our website is First Contact, spelled out, WNC.org. And go there, listen to some other testimonies. We've been doing this for some time now, and there's a lot of experiences out there that will encourage you and enlighten you. So go to our website and view these testimonies, and let us know if we can help. Well, Matt, man, what an inspiration you are. What a joy it is to sit down and talk about what you've been through, it gives me hope. It gives me encouragement to keep doing this. It lets me know that as hard as this is, there are those that will respond. There are many. I've found very few that just do not want to become free. Most everyone knows they're in bondage and they want to be free. And you are a shining example of the fact that no matter what the situation is, how bad it gets, there's no hole so deep that God can't reach you and bring you out of it. So thank you, Matt, for being willing to share tonight. And I know, excuse me, I know that God's going to use your testimony to reach others.
I hope so.
God bless you, man.
I'm sure He does.
God bless you. Well, thank you for watching tonight. We're going to try to do this every Friday night and provide different types of content. But, I don't know anything much more powerful than someone sharing their life experience. And truly grateful again to Matt and all those who have been willing to share with us. Thank you for watching, and please reach out if we can help. And we'll see you next Friday night on Patchwork by First Contact Addiction Ministries. God bless you and good night.